Hi all. In the previous sessions we had discussed about the concepts related to management, concepts related to planning and concept related to decision making. Today we will start our second module which has the concepts like organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. These are the other important functions of management apart from planning, correct? So first let us look into organizing. Before we go to organizing, we will understand what is an organization. Okay, there is no standard definition for any organization, but different authors have defined organization in different ways. For example, Amitai Itjioni has defined an organization as, he defines as, an organization is a social unit or human grouping deliberately structured for the purpose of achieving some specific goals. And according to him, it might be a social unit or a human grouping deliberately structured. Deliberately structured means intentionally structured for achievement or attainment of some purpose or goal. When it comes to Sehin, he defines it, the organization, as the rational coordination of activities of number of people for the achievement of some common explicit purpose or goal. Here also he defines it as a rational coordination or logical coordination of activities of number of people for the achievement of common goal. How we are going to achieve common goal? He says that this can be achieved through the delegation of labor and functionality also through delegation of authority and responsibility. So looking at the both the views or definitions of organization, what we can conclude is organization is the rational coordination of activities or logical coordination of activities involving people where a common goal we are going to achieve through the delegation of labor and functionalities, through the delegation of authority and responsibility. That is what an organization we can define. Now from these definitions or the discussion on these definitions, what we can conclude is the different types of organization might be different government departments, schools, colleges and hospitals, whether it is private or government. These kind of associations can be called as organizations. But when it comes to ethnic groups, friendship groups, tribes and families cannot be called as an organization. Also from the discussion what we have about the organization, we can come up with the characteristics of an organization. Let me write the characteristic and explain one by one. characteristics of an organization. Every organization has these kind of characteristics. What is the first one or first characteristic? The first characteristic is every organization has a purpose, or you can say goal or set of goals decided by the planning process of management. So the first characteristic of an organization is organization will have a purpose or goal or set of goals as decided by the planning process of the management. The next characteristic is every organization has a clear concept of activities to be performed. The second characteristic is the organizations will have a clear concept of number of activities they are going to perform. Next is classification of activities into jobs. This is the third characteristic, where once you define the activities, the organization has to classify the activities and convert the activity into a job. And the fourth one is establishing relationship between these jobs so as to ensure the coordination. So these are the four characteristics of any organization which we draw from the definitions which we have discussed in the previous concept. Here you can see that every organization will have a purpose. Based on the purpose, the organization will set up or decide the number of activities to be performed, and then these activities are converted into jobs, and the organization finally establishes relationship between the jobs so as to ensure the coordination and thereby attain the purpose or goal. Okay, that's all about the characteristics of an organization. And coming to the next concept, that is typology of organization. Typology means the different types of organization we see in day-to-day life. Here when you see from outside, every organization looks same, but when we look into the different organization and their internal structure, we will understand that every organization is different from one another. So let us now categorize the organization based on their some characteristic. Okay. Typology of organizations or you can say categorizing organizations. We can say the first category as the organizations which benefit their owners. The second category of organizations are the organizations which benefit their members. The third category we can see is the organizations which benefit their clients. And the fourth categorization is the organizations which benefit the whole society. So we can classify or categorize the organizations into these four types, where the first kind of organizations we can see is the organizations which benefit their owners. For example, the private companies or industries and companies, we can put these organizations into the one which benefit their owners, because here the motive is achievement. The dominant motive of the owners is achievement, and thereby they want to grow in the industry. That's why these organizations can be categorized into the organizations which benefit the owners. Similarly, when it comes to the organizations which benefit their members, for example, the organizations for this particular type we can say is unions, or a wide class of unions, clubs, and you can say the cooperative societies. Okay, you can consider different types of clubs, that is tennis club or cricket club or football clubs, where the affiliation or enrollment of different people into the organization is important or dominant motive. That's why it is the sole responsibility of the organization to provide good service, and hence the organizations of these kinds are for benefiting the members of the organization. The next type of organization we have is the organizations which benefit their clients. Let me consider the examples. Here the examples are insurance companies, private schools, and you can say private hospitals. These kind of organizations have a dominant motive of providing quality of service quality of service to their clients and extension of the organization. Because of this dominant motive, we can say the organization benefit their clients. Similarly, the organizations which benefit the whole society are, the examples we can consider are government departments, police, armed forces, and you can say government colleges or schools. Here the dominant motive is to have service and control. That's why they serve the society and benefit the whole society. Okay, so these are the different types of the organization, or you can say typology of organizations. Now we have understood the meaning of an organization or definition of organization in terms of different authors, and then we have understood the different characteristics of organization and typology of organizations. Now we will move on to the next concept, which is the process of organizing. Process of organizing means what? The structuring or designing of an organization, we can say it as a process of organizing. There are 7 steps in organizing, and we will see one by one what are these steps in the organizing process. Process of organizing. As I have said, there are 7 steps in the organizing process. Let us start with the first step, where the first step is considering or consideration of objectives. When we start organizing, first we have to consider the objectives. Based on the objectives only, the particular type of organization is decided or built. That's why the planning process set the objectives, and these objectives need to be considered in the very first step of organization. If we are not considering the objectives, we will not be able to set the goals. If not going to set the goals, the whole process of organizing will not be possible. Correct? That's why the first step is consideration of objectives. The next step we have in organizing is deciding the organizational boundaries. So once you have considered the objectives or the purpose is known, now you have to decide the organizational boundaries. Here organizational boundaries means what should be carried out inside the organization and what should be done outside the boundary of the organization. Say you are a manufacturing company of automotive parts. So all the raw materials you will not be able to manufacture on your own. You have to give outsourcing for other organization so that they will provide you raw materials for your parts to be manufactured. Correct? That's why you have to decide whether some activities need to be carried out inside the firm or organization or outside the organization. This boundary decision is very important, because based on this again the structure of organization is decided. Once the boundaries are decided, now you have to group the different activities into departments. Here different activities are divided into departments. Say when we have a college or an educational institute where we come across different departments, correct, like electronics and communication department or computer science department or mechanical department. Likewise there are department for the accounting and examination sections and scholarship sections. Likewise, based on the closely related activities, we are going to group the activities into departments. Once the departments are decided, the grouping of department is over. Now one has to analyze the inter-department relations and decide which departments are key departments. So after deciding different departments, one has to analyze the inter-department relations. That is, either downward or upward or sideways contribution of different departments need to be considered. Based on that, we have to decide what is the level of the department in the hierarchy, whether it is going to handle different departments or it is a sub-departments which coordinates with the other departments. Okay, that hierarchy is decided, and also the key departments are decided in the fourth step. What do you mean by key departments? Key departments are the departments which are very essential for an organization. Say any government or defense organization, the key department will be the R&D department or research and development department. There marketing is least bothered, because all the things whatever they are manufacturing or producing or innovating, that is for the benefit of the whole society. Their R&D and the quality of product is very important rather than the marketing or advertising department of the particular organization. When it comes to an product manufacturing company where you want to sell the ACs, then the advertising and marketing department is key department. The way they market the product becomes very important. So there will be a different department set for the advertisement or the marketing purposes. That's why deciding on the key department and the relation between inter-departments is very important. That is taken care in the fourth step of organizing. When it comes to the fifth step, the key departments are now decided. Next is determining levels at which various types of decisions are to be made. after deciding the key departments, what we are going to do is the various levels of decision making will be taken into care, because when there is a decision making process or there is a need for taking a decision, the decision should not go looking for a home. That's why, so as to avoid that, we have to decide which decisions should be taken at which level, okay, and that comes under the step 5 of the organizing. Now the next step in the organizing is determining the span of management. So once levels at which the various decisions can be taken is decided, we have to concentrate on span of management. Span of management means how many subordinates can one manager going to manage, or number of subordinates given for a single manager is decided in this step. Say you have a taller span of management, more number of managers in the hierarchy, this process, it will slow down the decision making. Narrower the organizational hierarchy or span of management, it will slow down, but control will be there on decisions. When the span is very wide, that is there are number of subordinates working on under a common manager, then control will not be effective, but decision making will be very quick, because there is only one level of management. So this is the trade-off between control and effectiveness. Okay. Now the next step, once the span of management is decided, as the span of management depends on the organization type also, we decide the span of management depending on different organization and its objectives. And the final step in the organization process is setting up a coordination mechanism. So after the span of management is decided, we have to set up a coordination mechanism, because the effective integration of the different department is important as the differentiation of different departments. Okay, if different departments are not coordinating with each other, then the purpose cannot be achieved. That's why we have to integrate all the departments. For that, some coordination mechanism should be set. Based on that only, the different aspects of the management or the departments will be solved, and we should reach the organizational purpose or goal. So this is about the process of organizing. So in today's session, we discussed about what is an organization, and then characteristics of organization, typology of organization, and then process of organizing. In the next session, we will discuss the principles of organizing. Thank you.